From our standpoint and from my standpoint, we want this administration to succeed. When this administration succeeds, the country does well, business does well.
Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi in Davos for the World Economic Forum. A behind-the-scenes look at what's next for Uber, from the CEO's personal donation to President Trump's second inauguration to Uber's big push into electric vehicles.
The fact is with EVs is that they are actually a great product. And so we see EVs in our fleet growing. Our drivers are moving over to EVs about 5 times faster than the general public. Our passengers love them.
But it's not just about government subsidies. Khosrowshahi is clear the future of EVs at Uber doesn't depend on it.
We don't need subsidies for EVs to succeed at Uber, and we continue to increase them because they're actually a really good product. And of course, they're good for the environment.
And if you think self-driving cars are still years away, think again.
I think that the technology will be ready for prime time between now and 2 years from now. It's moving very quickly, especially with some of the newer generation companies. The commercialization of EVs is going to take much longer.
I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Squawk Pod reports from Davos. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi begins right now. Picture it, Switzerland, the snow-capped Alps. On the ground in Davos, Andrew Ross Sorkin was joined by one of the most influential leaders in tech and transportation, Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi. Uber has not only revolutionized the way we get around, but it has expanded into food delivery, freight services, and autonomous vehicle development. Not to mention, it's the rare company that became both a noun and a verb. But what does Uber's future look like under another Trump administration? It could be a bit of a mixed bag. In the first hours after his inauguration Monday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order rolling back the ambitious electric vehicle targets set by the Biden administration. The move revokes a 2021 executive order aiming for EVs to make up 50% of new cars by 2030. Here's what President Trump had to say about the decision during his inauguration speech.
We will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago.
Policies on environmental issues like rolling back emissions targets and EV tax credits could slow down Uber's goal for a more sustainable fleet on the road. On the other hand, Trump's deregulatory stance to the gig economy, it could help Uber keep its business model intact, avoiding costly employee benefits for drivers. What else? There's still the challenge of congestion pricing. In cities like New York, where it launched earlier this year, Uber could face higher fares and fewer riders in certain zones. This interview you're about to hear was recorded on location in the Swiss Alps. No Uber needed. We got you covered. Here's Andrew Ross Sorkin.
President Trump's recent executive order could pose some challenges, we'll see, to electric vehicle mandates, potentially impacting Uber's ambitions to meet its zero-emission goals. That's one of the topics we're going to talk about with Dara Khosrowshahi. He's Uber's CEO, and it's great to see you, sir. In from Washington, you were one of the few CEOs who made it to both.
Yes. Both very important events, and I wanted to make both.
Before we even get to EVs and everything else, I'm just curious, you threw a big party.
Yes,
you were at the inauguration.
I heard it was the best party in town, but I'm not sure.
Uber gave $1 million to the inauguration.
Yes.
And you personally gave $1 million to the inauguration.
Yes.
You had not done that before. Now, Uber had done that with Biden.
Yes.
But I'm curious about your personal decision to do that. And I will note that I was thinking Tony West, who's your great legal officer, brother-in-law of the vice president who lost the election. What was that conversation?
Well, listen, from our standpoint and from my standpoint, we want this administration to succeed. When this administration succeeds, the country does well, business does well, and we have a very broad envelope in terms of consumers, in terms of drivers, and we want to show support as it relates to administration. And we want to engage with the administration on things that our drivers care about in terms of the cost of living, in terms of the access to transportation and vehicles, et cetera. And, it's a beginning, hopefully, of a dialogue.
What do you think, though, just of this larger conversation people are having about the role of CEOs being engaged and involved in this administration, unlike any other in a very, very long time?
I think that having a voice as it relates to the future of the country and the economy is a positive, right? When the economy does well, the country does well. We're an economy that is the envy of the world.
Right.
And I think that a big part of that are the CEOs and the leaders who are making the everyday decisions, and having a strong relationship and an open communication channel with administration, I think is very healthy.
What happens when the president does things that you don't like? And I'm thinking about these EV mandates and what may happen to them, given where you are and where he is.
Listen, those are his decisions, right? And so we work with every administration, and there are certain decisions that any administration will make that we agree with and some that we don't agree with. The fact is with EVs is that they are actually a great product. And so we see EVs in our fleet growing. Our drivers are moving over to EVs about 5 times faster than the general public. They're great cars. Our riders, our passengers love them.
Right.
So it's the economy's working, which is if you build a great product, then the marketplace will take care of it. And EVs will continue to be a higher and higher percentage.
What happens? I mean, if this gets repealed, and when I say the tax credit, the EV tax credit, the likelihood of getting repealed, what does that do to the ambitions that you've set forth?
I think that our EV penetration could slow down to some extent. We'll see. We continue to lean in. So, for example, drivers who are driving EVs on our platform make more. We reduce our take rate. We're working with industry to get discounts to make EVs more affordable. So we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And I think anyone who bases their business plan based on government subsidies is not doing the right thing. Sure, they help, but the fundamentals for us continue to be there, and we'll keep running our business as we have before.
Are you campaigning either privately or publicly to continue?
No. I don't think we need those kinds of assistance.
You're calling Elon? Are you talking to Elon to try to get to the president to say, hey, because you would think that he would want him, but he actually, well, in a way, he probably doesn't want him because he thinks that he's already in such a pole position.
We're in a very different position, but we don't need subsidies for EVs to succeed at Uber, and we continue to increase them because they're actually a really good product. And of course, they're good for the environment.
Right. Autonomous vehicles.
Yes.
It feels like this is the year of autonomy for Uber.
Absolutely.
You made an announcement at CES in terms of a partnership with NVIDIA. Mm-hmm. How quickly does all of this happen? And what do you say to your drivers? Because eventually, maybe not too soon, not too far away, they are going to start to compete with humans.
Well, I think that the technology development as it relates to autonomous is happening at an incredible pace. Obviously, we have a relationship with Waymo, with NVIDIA, but a number of other companies, Wave, WeRide, Waabi, and Aurora in trucking as well. This is a technology that is going to hit prime time, and it's going to make for safer streets.
And what do you think the timeline is now? I mean, it feels like finally we're talking about something realistic.
So I think that the technology will be ready for prime time between now and 2 years from now. Okay. It's moving very quickly, especially with some of the newer kind of 2.0 newer generation companies. The commercialization of EVs is going to take much longer. The bill of materials, the cost of the sensors, the cars, et cetera, is too high right now. And we think that our partnering with AV developers will speed up that commercialization because we can bring them a lot more business much faster. We have fleet operations in cities in which we operate. And, you'll be able to see it live in Austin, Atlanta early this year.
If I said to myself, though, that I was a potential Uber driver, that I was going to go out and buy myself a Suburban, and I was going to try to amortize that Suburban over the next 5 some odd years, 10 years, and driving for Uber, would that be a good idea?
I don't think you are going to feel anything as it relates in the next 5 years. So, for example, in San Francisco, our business continues to grow and Waymo's growing. Just the overall envelope of the business is growing faster. And I think we will operate in a hybrid network, combination, by far predominantly human drivers and then some AVs feathering in over the next 10 years. 10 years from now, things may be different, but between now and 10 years from now, I think humans are going to have plenty of work and AVs are going to work their way into the system. Okay,
final question, and it's a conversation Becky and I have all the time. Congestion pricing in New York City.
Yes.
You're now a New Yorker again.
I am in.
So what do you think? You think it's working? Are you happy or unhappy?
Well, I take Ubers around, so
you pay $1.50 extra.
We do.
I do.
Yes.
If I'm in a taxi, it's 75 cents.
Yes. Yes.
You know I'm a cheapskate, so I'm very aware of these numbers.
You know your prices. It is absolutely reducing traffic over the bridges and tunnels. It has not had a significant impact in terms of traffic in the city.
Okay.
It's too early to tell right now. Things are moving over too quickly, and right now there's a holiday period that has quite unusual traffic patterns. So I think it remains to be seen. We supported congestion pricing because our cars, our drivers, have a huge amount of utilization and utility within New York. And I think to some extent, congestion pricing is pricing out the low utilization vehicles. And we think that's a good market.
You're going to know whether it's working before just about anybody else, given the data you have.
I'd say so far so good,
back.
but it's too soon to tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dara, thank you. Appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you for listening to this special Squawk Pod Reports featuring Uber's Dara Khosrowshahi. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend or rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernan, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Squawk Pod is produced by me, Katie Kramer, Cameron Costa, and Caroline Rahotis. John Lesration is our editor. Have a great day.